You're good. Welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today I'm doing the 25th anniversary of Analyze This. Yep, believe it or not, it's been 25 years since Paul Vitti went into therapy with and created one of the most underrated comedies that we've had in like a long time. Um, this stars Robert De Niro, Billy Crystal, Lisa Kudrow, and Chaz Palminteri pops up here, by the way. Um, so it's it's a funny movie, and I loved this in 1999. Um, this was just like a nice sort of surprise, like a spring surprise. It has audio description. It's not great. We should probably re-record it. Just don't bother. it's to, it's a film that has a lot of dialogue, so I think they sit back a lot and let the dialogue happen. And I didn't get a whole lot there. There's not a lot there, but um, I've seen this movie a ton of times to the point where I have to be totally honest and say it took me a while to notice the lack of audio description because I was just like in it again. I was like, oh yeah, this is that joke, this is that scene. And there's something about sort of like a well worn, you know, shoe, pair of pants, whatever, however you want to use that analogy, um, that just fits right. And this film just, it was easy breezy. It just came back into my life. I didn't realize how much of a desert island movie this was for me. I've probably seen this, I would say, somewhere in the 5 to 10 times range. So not like where it's so obvious, where it's like, oh, obviously that's a desert island movie for me because I've seen that, 10, 15, 20 times. Plus, for some films. But it is in the amount of times where I've seen it and I knew what was coming and I knew some of the jokes, and it was just playing like a favorite song of mine on the radio that I hadn't heard in years. It's like, oh my God, I loved that song, you know, 15 years ago. I feel like I haven't heard that song in 15 years. Where has that song been? You know? So I feel like that's on me. I feel like the fact that I haven't gotten to appreciate and analyze this as much and to be able to immediately recognize, oh yeah, this is a desert island movie for me, is on me. That's on me. And my apologies to the film. But if you haven't seen Analyze This, you should. It stars, uh, depending on how you look at the film, it either stars Billy Crystal or Robert De Niro, depending on which perspective you look at it. If you take De Niro's perspective, it stars him as Paul, who is a mobster. He is kind of telling the story from the beginning. And he's, it starts out by telling us like the whole like history of the mob, basically, and all these people and how they met, and the FBI raids, and people dying, and his father was a boss, and then he was like the only survivor of a hit attempt on his family. So his like whole family was murdered but him. And so he had like a new father figure in his life that he was growing up under. And then he watched that guy die, and he was sort of having basically like a panic attack. So he goes and he goes to the hospital, and because he thinks he's having a heart attack. But then when they say panic attack or whatever, he's like, do I look like, does that look like I had something? He doesn't believe it. So then he quietly asks his sort of like right-hand man, Jelly. I forgot the actor's name, but he was great. He was kind of really only in this. This is sort of like his one big sort of standout role, the actor who plays him. But like a character actor who landed like the perfect role in a box office hit. And he asks him for a one of those head doctors, you know, and cut to Billy Crystal, and he's a psychiatrist who is, you know, I mean, he's listening to his patients, and he's divorced, has a son, and is getting remarried to Lisa Kudrow. And he is looking to do that pretty shortly, like they're about to have a break to do that. And lo and behold, unfortunately, he ends up rear-ending the car of Joey. And so they end up using him as the, you know, head doctor for Paul in this sort of like hilarious way where there are no boundaries in this relationship. And anytime DeNiro has a question or a thought, he just pops up, and like, or Jelly has to go get him. He just comes into like every situation, and he's like, you know, you got to come now, like, and every time Billy always protests, he's like, I'm this is my wedding. You know, what are you doing? So, it's a hilarious movie. Two people who bounce really well off of each other. I'm gonna review the sequel at the same time because when I do these anniversaries, it's sort of the same thing I did for National Treasure. There are only two movies, and believe me, I'm not going to celebrate the anniversary of Analyze That. So check out if you want to know what the sequel's like. Yes, the original is better, and the original is the Desert Island film. The other one is just, you know, like, whenever you have two people who have really good chemistry together, you try to create that. It's sort of like the buddy cop formula where you try to just perpetuate it forever and ever. It's like, oh my God, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson have fire chemistry together. We should just keep making as many Lethal Weapon movies until people stop watching that. How many do you think that'll be? I don't know. But well, 4. 4, that's the number. Many people thought we'd get to 5. There was a rumor there was going to be a Lethal Weapon 5 there for a while, but nope. 4. That's how many movies people were willing to watch Danny and Mel together. So yeah, when you get that kind of chemistry together, you want to try to see where will this lead. Sometimes you get people who have chemistry together and they don't have to create sequels, and they just keep bouncing around together in other films. Now that would have been more interesting, would be to see De Niro and Crystal in more films together outside of this franchise. Sort of like the Tom Hanks Meg Ryan thing, which is sort of an iconic pairing. Even though they really don't have that many movies together, they really don't. They have about the same amount as Danny and Mel. So yeah, I would say that that's kind of what they tried to do with the sequel. You know, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with best intentions. So, but Analyze This is definitely a film you should watch. Unfortunately, if you're blind and you've never seen it before, I'm sorry. We're going to have to wait for somebody to re-record this audio description. Will it ever happen? I have no idea. I have no idea. This film feels like, again, almost sort of like I forgot it. I forgot how much I love this movie and how much of it I had actually remembered, and the scenes that came back to me, and like direct quotes. And it all, it was just like I had just seen it like last year. It's amazing when you've seen a film so many times and you pop it in and you're like, oh. And I really did. There were times where I was like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be listening to the audio. Where is the audio description? I was just like, I was just into the film. And I was being a bad blind film critic. I'm sorry. I will have less of a problem with Analyze. I'll really be able to listen to Analyze That. But with Analyze This, I was solidly like 20, 30 minutes, and I was like, what? Have I heard audio description? I wasn't even paying attention. I was just so happy to have made this choice in my life to rewatch this film. It's hilarious. It's a great comedy. I don't think many people have seen it, especially coming up in the new generation. I don't think it's one of those films that's translated into the, oh, you must see this film. But I think if you were around, if you're my age, I'm reminding you this film exists, and you're like, oh yeah, the film does exist, and that was funny. So check it out. 25 years, 25th anniversary. 1999 was a great year for cinema, by the way. I think a lot of people have said that. Highlighted really by Rotten Tomatoes' excellent sort of like tier battle for the best film of 1999, which went to, I want to say Toy Story 2, but I know it was in the finals. Did it win? I can't remember. Um, but yeah, watching that, it was like, I think it was between like Toy Story 2 and American Beauty. But, or was, I know Fight Club made it really close too. It's a hell of a year. Green Mile, we got a lot of great films in here. So, Sixth Sense, uh, just yeah, it's a great year for film. So it's entirely The Matrix. It's entirely possible that you forgot this film was in there too. I did. Check it out. I'm gonna give Analyze This an A+ because it is a desert island movie for me. I just didn't realize it's not. If somebody had asked me to write down my desert island movies, I would have forgotten it. But then the 25th anniversary reminded me, oh shit, I really do love this movie a lot. It makes me happy in all the right ways that a desert island comfort movie would make me happy. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Thanks for celebrating with me, and I will see you guys on the other side.